Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to do part 2 of my thing I started a few weeks ago, where I picked out some solo Beatles hidden gems and put them on an imaginary album. So thanks for the feedback on my first one. The second one is going to focus not so much on the 70s as my previous one did, more stuff from the 80s in this one, looking at the list, which I'll show you at the end. So some of the tracks are not necessarily hidden gems, but the version I've chosen is not particularly well known for various reasons, and I'll get into talking about that when I come to it. Actually, compiling this list of the second one, it still amazed me how there were tracks I left off. On the whole, I haven't chosen album tracks. There are a couple of songs which do appear on albums, but I've chosen a slightly different version of them, and in one case I've just chosen a straightforward album track, which is from Ringo actually. But anyway, on the whole, when I say hidden, it means, you know, B-sides or unreleased or singles, should we say, which didn't do particularly well at the time. So I'm going to kick off this imaginary album with the version of I'm Losing You from 1980, recorded in the Double Fantasy sessions with Cheap Trick guesting on guitar, and released on that anthology in 1998. Storming version, very different from the Double Fantasy final version, which was a lot of people said it was a little bit too slick, but I think it's brilliant, and I actually prefer the album version, but this is a very decent version, and there's a good video of it, which the Cheap Trick guys made with Tony Levin on bass, which is worth checking out. It's on YouTube. So that's I'm Losing You. Then we've got a Harry Nilsson composition called Lay Down Your Arms, which was covered on this album by Ringo Starr with help from Stevie Nicks. So they did a kind of nice duet, and it's just a charming number. And I, for one, had almost forgotten it existed, and I think it came out. This album came out after Harry died, but I think the song itself was recorded in I think it was in the 80s. I didn't take the exact date down, but anyway, it's a charming song. Poor Little Girl is next, and it's appeared on this single along with Cheer Down on the other side. So that's the Poor Little Girl. It's a terrible picture sleeve, isn't it? But, you know, can't win them all. But it's a great song, and I think I mentioned on a recent video, I think it's better than more or less anything on Cloud 9, which is saying something. Number 4, we're going to choose a B-side from McCartney from 1987, and it's a B-side of the one Once Upon a Long Ago, and it's a track called Back on My Feet, which was, I believe, the first Elvis Costello Paul McCartney composition, and it appeared on the B-side here. It didn't appear on Flowers in the Dirt. For some reason it just stayed as a B-side. It's a great little number. I love it. Number 5, we've got Dear John, again from the anthology. It's not a proper studio recording, it's just an acoustic demo, but it's very nice words about basically the war is over, you've won. You've had your ups and downs in life, but basically so it's quite sad to listen to given what happened. But anyway, I like that song a lot. Number 6, we're going to go with the other song on this single, the Cheer Down song. Not particularly well known outside the fan base, and not particularly successful as a single, but not bad. I'm not sure if I could classify it as a hidden gem, because it's not a great favourite of mine, but it's relatively obscure, hence I put it on. Number 7, to close side 1, we've got a track from this bootleg album, because it's not been released officially, because we're still waiting for the London Town Archive Wings edition, but this is a track called Water Spout, which appeared on this bootleg. It's a charming little number. As you probably know, the London Town album was going to be called Water Wings, which would have been a crap title, but I guess Water Spout would have fitted onto that album title. But for one reason or another, he left it off. Maybe he thought it was too twee, and the critics would be lining up to slag him off if he released a song like that. Having said that, it's one of my favourites. So Horses for Courses, side 2, we're going to start off with, I don't know, it didn't appear to have sequenced this particularly well, because we've got Paul ending side 1 and beginning side 2 anyway. Simple as That, which is his anti-drug song, And it appeared on this anti-heroin project. It's a live-in world, which includes Bananarama, Bucks Fizz, Elvis Costello, Dire Straits. And McCartney's song is, as far as I'm aware, unreleased elsewhere. I think an alternative version may have come up on the Pipes of Peace archive, but this is a much better version, and it's a kind of reggae type number. And I noticed Ringo's on here somewhere doing You Know It Makes Sense, which is another song which I can hardly recall. I have to go back and check it out, but it didn't make the list of this album. But Simple as That from Paul. It's so simple, it makes you want to cry. Yeah, I like it. Number 2 on side 2. I don't know if we can call this a hidden gem, but I've included it anyway. So there's basically an unreleased Ringo Starr album recorded in 1987 with, I forget the name of the producer now, Chips Moorman, I think his name is. And basically Ringo was pretty drunk during the session, so he didn't want the album released, and they went to court to try and get it released. The producer said he's lost all this money. Never saw the light of day. This is a bootleg CD, and it's a pretty forgettable album, but I Can Help is quite a nice cover version, and You Better Move On. I just chose it because it's very hard to ruin such a great song. Obviously famous song from Arthur Alexander, covered by the Rolling Stones in the 60s. So that's You Better Move On from Ringo. Now we've got I Don't Want to Face It. Again, we're going back to the anthology to play the alternative version of I Don't Want to Face It, which is different from Milk and Honey. It's probably even better take, actually, if I had to compare the two. Seems to be even wilder guitar from Earl Slick on it, and yeah, it's just a great version, and it's a pretty, those Milk and Honey tracks do tend to get a bit kind of lost in the mix, don't they? Because we don't play, well, I don't play Milk and Honey very much as an album, so a track like that doesn't tend to get too much airplay from me anyway. But anyway, it's a good track, and that's number 4. Number 3, number 4 on side 2, we've got George's version of this guitar, which turned up as a bonus track on Extra Texture, although obviously because the original of this guitar was on Extra Texture, but this version is recorded in 1992 with various people helping him. I can't remember the musicians who... Dave Stewart is on it for sure, and it's a very tasteful version. I probably prefer it, and it's not often I say that about songs, but probably prefer it to the original Extra Texture version. Definitely worth checking out. Number 5, we've got a B-side, the B-side of Figure of 8, or one of the tracks on the B-side. It was called Loveliest Thing. Didn't make the album, but it's a very nice tune. Just a nice rolling melody, and McCartney's done this a few times in his career, put out a B-side which is easily as good as anything on the album, so I think that's a really nice track. Number 6, we're going to go to the Old Wave CD, and this is the only bona fide album track on the list, and it's Be My Baby from side 1. Great little number. I could have chosen Hopeless, that was the other one I was thinking about putting on. So Ringo gets 3 tracks on this album out of 14, which is pretty good going. And I'm going to finish the whole album with Nobody Told Me, and I'm going to choose the version from Lennon Anthology again, which is slightly different. Not very different at all, but slightly different to the Milk and Honey version, that Anthology one. So that's a hilarious song. I think it's far too good to have been... He was going to give it to Ringo, but because he died, Ringo didn't want to record it, and so Lennon's version came out. And if I'd been Lennon, I wouldn't have given that song away. I think it's far too good to give away to anyone. Anyway, nice of him. So that was part 2 of my Solo Beatles Hidden Gems. You probably don't agree, that's fine, just my opinion, not to be taken seriously. And sorry if your hidden gems are not on here, but maybe I'll do volume 3 and maybe they'll appear on that one. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.